people? I'm back. It's been a while, like 2-3 weeks. I got bangs. If you're new, welcome, and if you're not new, you know what I'm doing. I'm Ophelia, I make video essays, and today I'll be talking about Dead Poets Society, which isn't any less morbid than my last topic, which if you haven't go watch that, it's about Yellow Jackets, and you totally should. But yeah, let's just get right into it. Oh, by the way, I got new lights, guys, and I'm not sure if I like it or not, so just tell me what you think in the comments. Actually, no, I changed my mind. I do really like it. Anyways, let's get straight to it. We've all seen it. The tortured artist trope has showed up in media for years, decades even, and it's gut-wrenching, it's heartfelt, it's raw, and to some extent, it's actually really relatable. But why do we like watching movies where passion leads to collapse? We are taught to believe that great art comes from great suffering, but when film and literature and internet culture start to romanticize pain in the name of art, then that inspiration gets really toxic really quickly. Now, to understand why we romanticize self-destruction, we have to take it way back to the Enlightenment. Now, I can't say ew to the Enlightenment because without it, we likely wouldn't have nearly as advanced technology or the Oedipus complex. The Enlightenment gave us things like reason and structure and order. Cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I am, quote René Descartes, one of the fathers of the Enlightenment, and also the Bob. Insert picture there. Hopefully I'll do that later. Which, side note, if you haven't read I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, pause this video and go read it because I have a whole section in my notes that just says do not ramble about I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It is such a relevant story, especially today. It is so gut-wrenching and sentience and take over the world, but I think that AI... Anyways, the Enlightenment gave us science and it gave us logic, and unfortunately it gave us people who think that emotions are suspicious and invaluable, instead relying solely on evidence and logic to run the world. Which, science and reason do have their place, but in the 21st century, we have the knowledge to know that the world can't exist solely on logic. You need a healthy balance of emotion and reason to run the world. Which is where the backlash to the Enlightenment comes, and we get Romanticism. The Romantics didn't want to measure the world, they wanted to feel it. They valued the human soul over the mind, nature over the industry, and passion over protocol. Suddenly, emotions weren't just useless feelings, they were art. And in a world where science and logic were upheld as the rock on which life itself was planted upon, living romantically could be difficult. And when it wasn't achievable, sometimes it was seen as better not to live at all than to live life not being able to constantly express your art and your emotions. For example, take Thomas Chatterton. Due to his lack of success in the literary scene, Chatterton determined that if he couldn't live off his passion, it was better not to live at all, thus taking his own life, although some sources do say that the arsenic he used to commit the act was actually an old-timey STD treatment. The point is that dying young wasn't just a tragedy, it was seen as a divine act. To feel deeply and to be misunderstood and to suffer beautifully almost became the goal. This shift is what gave us the tortured artist and the doomed love and many other tragic tropes. Think writers such as Keats and Shelley and Plath, even characters such as Nina Sayers and Neil Perry. This idea that if you're not in pain, your art isn't seen as real or good or even meaningful. That's where Dead Poet Society starts. Not just with a boy on a stage, but with a culture that teaches you that dying for your dream is the most romantic thing you can do. Also, another side note, this is in no way me saying that the romantic movement is bad. In fact, last year I actually wrote a 5-page essay in history just ripping the Enlightenment to shreds. I even went as far to use my own personal life experiences and to call myself a modern romantic, so I cannot stress this enough. I love Romanticism, and I am a Mr. Keating defender until I die. Dead Poet Society isn't just a sad movie, it is the sad movie. Ask any artist or poet or theater kid, and I guarantee you will hear the name Neil Perry. Or maybe I'm just projecting as all of the above, but you know. Here's the thing, and I'm gonna make a personal confession here. When I first watched Dead Poet Society, I didn't cry, and I guarantee you it has nothing to do with the fact that all of the characters look the same. You cannot tell me Charlie and Knox aren't the same person. Or like Cameron and Meeks. They're all the same. Also, Pitts looks like Kirk from Gilmore Girls, and I cannot be the only one who sees that. Anyways, I'm getting off topic again. When I watched Dead Poet Society, I didn't cry because I wanted to be Neil. Not literally, but in like a really twisted way that being misunderstood makes you feel like you really matter. Like suffering is a sign that you're doing something right. Neil's story is often framed as inspirational. Yes, it's tragic, but it's so poetic that we can't help but love it. He finds his voice and he embraces his passion for performing, but when that passion is ripped away from him, he chooses death over a life of monotony. It really is like the final act of a tragedy, but when the play ends, the audience isn't screaming no and unfair. They enjoy the ending. Because in our own cultural imagination, that kind of passion, the kind that you're willing to die for, is the highest form of truth, and it's almost seen as admirable. The danger in this is that we no longer just grieve Neil, but we aspire to be him. We repost his quotes and make sad edits of him and save sad edits of him. Guilty! Guilty! We treat his tragedy essentially as an artistic badge of honor. Dead Poet Society syndrome is what happens when we watch Neil Perry die and think, wow, I wish someone understood me like that, instead of this is what happens when no one does. Neil Perry may have passed in 1989, or technically the 50s, but his soul still lives on in every Tumblr blog, and yes, I still use Tumblr, there's no shame in that. Every Tumblr blog, every TikTok edit, and every Pinterest board that treats anguish like it's an aesthetic. And we didn't just stop at Dead Poet Society, we turned self-destruction into a genre. Once, the tragic artist was a character in a novel. We have aestheticized breakdowns so thoroughly that we don't even notice we're doing it. We post videos of us crying with Phoebe Bridgers playing, or at least I do. We romanticize isolation. We laugh off our worst and lowest moments of life like at least it will make good poetry. The result is that the line between real pain and performative pain gets blurry. And suddenly, suffering isn't just expressed, but it's curated and it's sought after. And it doesn't stop with fiction. Real artists, from Sylvia Plath to TikTok poets, all get the same treatment. Their pain becomes a performance. We quote their saddest lines and we turn their journals and their events into merchandise. We fall in love with their ghosts before we even understand their lives. I don't think we're obsessed with art anymore. I think we're obsessed with being seen, even if it kills us. So why does this idea grip us so tightly? Why do we turn our own pain into artwork? Because suffering, when it's framed right, makes us feel like we matter. It's proof that we're feeling something. It's proof that we're alive, and it's proof that we're important. When life gets quiet or dull or numb, pain becomes a way to feel significant again. We learn from an early age, from books and from movies and from each other, that if you can't be happy, you can at least be interesting. And if you're going to break, break beautifully. Romanticizing suffering lets us believe that our pain has a purpose. We can pass off our heartbreaks as character development and our breakdowns as breakthroughs. It gives the chaos of life a plotline. And when life itself doesn't make sense, it becomes addicting. Turning pain into art gives us control. We get to edit our own stories. We get to crop the mess and filter our tears, so art is no longer just an expression, but it's survival. We curate our collapses to make them feel less scary. So if suffering isn't the soul of art, then what is? What if you don't have to break to be brilliant? What if peace is just as poetic? We've been taught that tragedy is glamorous and that to burn out young is to leave behind a legacy. But to survive is a slower story. It's quieter and it's messier and it doesn't always fit into a poem. But sometimes it's worth writing anyway. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. I apologize that I haven't uploaded anything lighthearted, and I'm sorry that all of my topics have been really sad so far. I promise I have more happy content coming out soon. Actually, no promises. I don't even know what video I'm going to film next. But make sure to like and subscribe and be nice to me in the comments. Have a great day, everyone!